Section 4. You will hear a university lecture on the early history and industrialization of natural rubber. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 35.
Good morning. Today we are looking at the history of a material that completely transformed modern industry, natural rubber. The story of rubber begins in Mesoamerica long before European explorers arrived. The indigenous people of the region harvested the milky white sap, or latex, from local trees. They had two primary uses for this strange material. Firstly, they formed it into heavy, solid balls to be used in traditional ceremonial court games. But they also recognized its practical benefits, painting the liquid latex onto the bottom of their footwear to keep their feet dry during the heavy rainy seasons. When the Spanish and Portuguese eventually brought this material back to Europe in the 18th century, it was viewed as little more than a fascinating curiosity. In fact, for several decades, its only recognized practical application was discovered by an English engineer who realized that a small cube of the material could easily and cleanly rub out mistakes made by a pencil on paper. The main problem with raw rubber was that it was incredibly unstable. It melted into a sticky mess in the hot summer sun and froze into a brittle, breakable solid during the winter. A minor breakthrough occurred in 1823 when a Scottish chemist named Charles Mackintosh discovered how to dissolve the rubber in a chemical solvent. By sandwiching this sticky paste between two pieces of thick fabric, he managed to create a genuinely waterproof coat. However, the garment still smelled terrible and became stiff in cold weather. The true revolution in rubber manufacturing was actually an accident. An American inventor named Charles Goodyear spent years obsessively trying to stabilize rubber, bankrupting his family in the process. In 1839, during another failed experiment, he was mixing raw rubber with a chemical called sulfur. He was distracted and accidentally dropped a piece of the mixture directly onto a hot stove in his laboratory. To his absolute amazement, instead of melting into a useless puddle, the rubber charred and cured into a tough, durable, and highly elastic material. He had just discovered vulcanization. Once rubber could withstand extreme temperatures without losing its shape, its applications became endless. But it was the subsequent invention of the bicycle and then the automobile tire that truly changed global economics. The sudden, insatiable global demand for rubber tires led to an unprecedented economic boom. Because the specific heavier tree that produced the best rubber only grew in the Amazon rainforest at the time, this massive influx of wealth occurred exclusively in Brazil, turning remote jungle outposts into some of the richest cities in the world almost overnight.